there's a dog bite. Instead of pulling away, you stop. You take a deep breath. You realize that you're a divine being having a human experience. And you realize that you have the answers within you. And then in that state, you know what is the right thing to do. And sometimes it means that you got to stick your hand just a little bit further down the throat of the dog, get him to gag and let go. That sense of freedom is very powerful. And we can get a little bit more esoteric, and perhaps we can, enter from the realm of theophilosophy, and we can look at how this process, this life as we see it, might be just a stepping stone for our own evolvement. And no one has more eloquently described this than Ornstein in a book called Evolution of Consciousness. He starts every chapter with a quote from Rumi, and he'll walk you through it, how, in terms of what happens to us might be just a stepping stone for us to go to the next level of evolvement. So that becomes important. And when you look at it from that perspective of that everything is just a blessing, that we're going to be fine, it's a very empowering place to be. And then you go through the analogy of the caterpillar going through the process of cocooning, and the cocooning might be for you, you just were given the news, you got cancer. It might require a little bit of cocooning, mainly emotionally and mentally, to really check in with yourself, to create that cocoon, if you would, so that, within that golden darkness of a cocoon, when it's very dark, all of a sudden the stars, seem a lot brighter, and you'll be able to find how you can reconnect with yourself. And as you go through that process, you might have to go through a little bit of tension. And sometimes just like a caterpillar goes through the cocooning process, the tension, I'm told that it's as important. If you get a caterpillar that they're cocooning and you open them, and now all of a sudden oh, I'm going to free them. Here, come on out. You can fly away. Well, the butterfly dies. That little tiny hole, when they have to kind of pull themselves out of it, that's the mechanism. The process has a mechanical blessing. That's how you get the fluid out of the wing of the butterfly to be, so that they can open it and they can experience this level of freedom as they fly away. So when we go through a process, a trauma, regardless of what it is, or what name or label or DSM category and what diagnosis we give it, it could be looked at just as a cocooning period, that we might be getting ready for certain level of, if you would, spiritual development or mental integration. That if we give that possibility a chance, then all of a sudden, it's not so charged. Then you feel empowered, and you feel grounded, you feel loved, and you reside in loving, and you feel like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Let's look at it, let's see what's available, and let me create that sense of wholeness that I need. And going through that process, sometimes little short things help us. One of the things that I found very helpful was a quote from Course in Miracle. When you open the book, there's, I think, 3 sentences. sentences. First one is, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Think about it. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. No matter what happens to us, it's fine. If it, we're going to pull through. There is a reason. So, knowing that and having that somewhere, or whatever language you speak, or whatever spiritual path that you have, or religious path that you have, get a quote from Sanskrit, or whatever. Get a quote from Kabbalah. Get a quote from whatever whatever resonates with you. Have that, so that it will allow you to reconnect to your true, authentic self, because that's where healing takes place, not out here. Healing takes place there. And anything that can take us back into that state is therapeutic. Far more therapeutic. Far more therapeutic. I'm here to tell you, as a cancer survivor, far more therapeutic than anything anyone in a white coat can give you out here. So it might be that you might have to take, I don't know, find a Vipassana meditation course, go for a 10-day silence retreat. It might be that you have to look up, Paul Brunton wrote a book called The Secret Path, that he literally, I think in 1930s, I was just amazed. When I read this book, I was so angry with Rumi and Hafez and all these mystic poets that they keep telling you, shh, there is something behind the curtain, but we can't really tell you. I mean, he was a simple man. Paul Brunton wrote a book, The Secret Path, and he walks you through step by step how to meditate, which is not a very esoteric term. It simply means how to just sit quietly and to control the chatter that we have here. That's therapeutic. That's therapeutic. And the amount of cytokines, the amount of all these chemicals that we pay so much for them to inject into us, we can create it in that state of mind. In that state of mind. I really want to acknowledge you for mentioning that, and I'm in agreement with everything that you said. I would like to invite you, though, to look at the possibility that I'm 100% for detoxification. I think that it has a space, absolutely. I mean, if our aluminum, if our lead, if the mercury, thallium, if the cesium, uranium, you name it, it's through the roof, okay? You're absolutely right. If we have a particular issue with perception, you're absolutely right. But I'm not really sure what the right answer is, but I think it's somewhere between what you're saying and what I'm suggesting. Rumi has a poem, and and he says something to the effect that there is a field that there is a field that there is no right and there is no wrong. I'll meet you there. This concept of duality, once it's taken away, that is the field that I think we're both talking about. And I'm in 100% agreement with that. I don't know exactly how many practitioners or scientific people you have spoken with or you've discussed, and I'm sure they all have fantastic therapeutic suggestions. One of whom is, Christina Paul, which you interview shortly. She's just incredible wealth of information when it comes to the nutraceutical and the scientific evidence-based protocols that we have. I'm 100% for that. I think what we don't get a lot of is the importance of empowering our patients to be in a state where they can reside in their loving. Once we can do that, once we can facilitate that, I am of the opinion that each single one of us will be able to find our own path and we'll do our own unique detoxification program. Because, people can come in and they can empty out my trash can, right? And if I can learn, okay, how to discard this process of dispersing all these thought processes in my mind that they're not very empowering me, that they're actually hurting me, I think that's a good place to start as well. But there's so much validity to emptying out the trash can, to eating healthy, vitamin C and various different things. The only scientist that has won 2 Nobel Prizes in medicine is Linus Pauling. I don't know about you, but to me that says a lot, that this person had a significant scientific background to be able to be awarded 2 scientific prize, such as Nobel Prize in medicine. Well, he was a great proponent for a lot of the nutraceuticals. He actually started the whole field of orthomolecular medicine. So I could not agree with you more. I'm in 100% agreement. I'm trying to simply accentuate the importance of empowering our patients and, and really facilitating and creating an environment that they will find safe, not offensive, not bombarding them with all these long terms and medical jargons that they just simply, they feel like they're, sometimes in Aikido, as you get further up, they put you in the middle of the dojo, and everyone at the same time attacks you. Sometimes, when I went to see my urological oncologist, it's like I felt like that. I was in the middle of that room, and the fellow, the resident, the attending, they're just coming at me. That's how it felt. And I know that they didn't mean that. I know that they did it from a caring place, and but sometimes in the process, things get a little bit dissected, and we lose the humanity, and within the process. And I'm trying to, in a very humble way, to really perhaps to share that I'm in 100% agreement with what you said, but I think it's important, and it is time for the medical community, or just, for us to start looking at healing as not as something that we do outside, but as a particular first step. We start defining it, and the way I defined it that worked for me was that healing is application of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-forgiveness to places that hurt.